Hello again, I'm Mann. Welcome to another installment of Mann's Cans. I apologize for the delay, but I said that I hoped to have another episode out sooner rather than later. But now it's later, so I'm not really a liar, right? Obviously, I went to Can Jam Singapore, and the key takeaway from that is that, once again, the headphone community is just full of really wonderful people. And the previous episode that I did was just kind of a test run, so if I ever went to another convention like that again, I kind of know better what does or doesn't work when filming things. Oh, I assembled / built a guitar, Sonica, bird's eye maple neck, sonic blue. Pretty beautiful. I built that making sure I didn't mess up this one. Red Rena. Isn't she gorgeous? Oh yeah, I know. Later, baby, later. I know. Shh. People are watching.
Yes, I love this, my precious.
Oh, hi. Sorry. Here I am, finally doing my overall impressions of the ZMF Verite. So the first thing that I'll say is that a lot of reviews have come out about these headphones now. It turns out that a lot of the details and the characteristics of what the Verite is able to provide, other reviewers have stated very much what I'm going to be reiterating in this review, but that's not a bad thing. It's actually quite good. But a quick background on how these came to be. There's been some hubbub about beryllium-coated drivers because beryllium is very dense and very quick. And there have been a series of famous headphones recently, very popular ones such as the Focal Utopia, which has a beryllium driver, and people talk very much about how quick it is and how resolving and extremely good at micro details. But in Zach's personal opinion, he found that those headphones, in his opinion, were a little bit too tinny sounding for his preferences, and he kind of didn't really have an interest in building beryllium coated drivers until somebody mentioned to him that he should maybe give polyethylene naphthalate, also known as PEN, P-E-N, pen. So somebody recommended that he do a pen driver coated with beryllium because it had the potential to kind of soften out that sound signature and provide something a little bit more pleasing to Zach's ears. So he spent a lot of time and research trying to design a beryllium coated driver that was a little bit softer in sound signature, kind of fitting in with the ZMF warmth that is so popular with his brand and his preference. Another thing that he had mentioned was that he suggests that you burn these in for at least 200 hours, even as much as 300 hours before really giving them a final perspective. And that's what I did. I burned these in for about 300 or 400 hours before I really started listening to them. Once again, I have the Silkwood version, which is a little less dense than the original limited edition release of the Pheasantwood headphones. The reason I chose Silkwood was not just for aesthetics, because it matches well with Kokobolo Eikon, but also I think too many pheasants are getting killed these days, and silkworms can just do better producing silk without dying as easily, and so I'm just helping to save the world a little bit at a time. So what I'll say though is the first time I put these on, this is how I put my headphones on. in case you didn't know how to do it. The first time I put these on though, first thing I recognized was how good the soundstage was. I mean, it sounded so wide. It sounded so open. These headphones do such a good job of replicating the sound of speakers within a room, more so than other headphones, even other open back headphones. A good comparison would be the AKG K701 or the Q701, which I mentioned in a previous review. Those are extremely wide sounding headphones. But one of the drawbacks about how wide those sound though is that I don't really have a good sense of where things are coming from. They're great for games and understanding directionality when you're listening to video games. But listening to music straight out, although it sounds like things are just coming from everywhere, I can't really pinpoint exactly where they're coming from. Zach actually changed his design a little bit and angled these drivers from a different direction from his previous designs. And also he's done some things with the venting on the cups and made some other changes to try and present an even more unique and open soundstage. And he certainly did that. Another spectacular element is that they are extremely fast headphones. And the way it deals with transients, the amount of speed that these provide are very similar to the speed and percussive resonance that comes from planar magnetic headphones, which are one of its bonuses over dynamic. It turns out that, yes, that speed is there. The micro detail is brought out to new levels and new heights versus most dynamic headphones because of that really quick response time. Furthermore, the bass hits with thwump and authority, much like I would expect them to, having listened to the Eikon and reading a lot about ZMF headphones. They do a really good job dealing with the bass. It's a pretty tight bass signature. It sounds great. The way it rolls off into the mids are slightly warm, but it still maintains a lot of the detail because of that speed, I think. And then leading over into the highs, it never feels too crisp or too sibilant to my ears. Another great example of these headphones' speed is when I was listening to Get Lucky from Daft Punk, Random Access Memories, from that album. First thing I noticed, soundstage-wise, was the moment the vocals kicked in, it felt like he was singing right in front of me. It was pretty crazy. But what was most exciting about that is with listening with my V281, because the solid state is that amplifier is a lot quicker, well, is marginally quicker than my bottlehead mainline. So I noticed that with the V281, at around the 2-minute 40-second mark, there's voices echoing. Well, typically I just hear the echoes and they go away. But with these headphones and the Vioelectric, the echoes came up here and just kind of danced around a little bit, kind of flitted about just a little bit, and then disappeared. It didn't have the chance to linger enough to where it felt like it was expanding or disappearing naturally. It felt a little bit more like things were just kind of bouncing up and down right by my ears. And I think that has a lot to do with the speed of these headphones as well as the amplifier. So you put both of those together and there's a lot of little small details in the sound coming from music that I've listened to many times before, but I'm listening to it in a new way. I will also mention that if you only have a solid state amp or if you only have a tube amplifier, don't feel beholden to have to upgrade your equipment in some way. This works great with both. So I would say with my Vioelectric V281, it's a little bit more crisp, it's a little bit faster in sound signature versus say the bottlehead mainline. But the bottlehead mainline still has a very nice synergy with these headphones. And it just allows me to experience the music and certain details in slightly different ways from each other. Neither one is better than the other per se. It really depends on what I'm listening to at the moment, and it also depends on my mood. After spending 30, 40 hours listening with these, I really can't stop just enjoying what I'm listening to. I always have a smile on my face.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
So, what is my overall opinion of the ZMF Verite? I think they're pretty good. No, obviously I enjoy them a lot. Once again, I am very fond of the ZMF brand, not just because of the sound quality that they provide, but also the build quality. I've mentioned it before. I love how much care and how much precision is put into not just the woodwork and the design, but then that sense of quality and that sense of beauty shines through also in the way he designs the actual sound itself. So I mentioned before how much I love the Eikon, but the Verite is not quite the same as the Eikon. So I enjoy this for completely different reasons from the Eikon. So there are similar characteristics in that they're both very well designed, very good on detail. They're not the most neutral or linear sounding headphones that you'll ever get, but these are more neutral than the Eikon, for example. Whereas when I'm listening with the Eikon, as I mentioned before, it's like I'm kind of like I'm being encased in a warm blanket, right? I mentioned that in my review. These are not really like that. It's more as if I'm kind of... So with the Verite, there's still a hint of warmth, but there's actually more of a sense of cleanliness and precision. I love the Eikon, for example, because they are a fun, musical headphone that has a very pleasant warmth, which fits really well to a lot of music tracks that I really like to listen to. The Verite is kind of a remarkable accomplishment in that they managed to excel in technical achievement, especially speed, detail, precision, and spaciousness. But it's able to accomplish the technical feats without sacrificing my enjoyment of music. And so once again, ZMF has made another amazing headphone accomplishment, and I have no reservations about purchasing these. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed the previous ones. And if something comes up in the future that I'd like to bring up, I'm sure to make another episode. So until next time, bye.